Okay, I know last month we had Philip Hilaire come and share with you about our ADA celebration. Well, we now have a little flyer, and I didn't print up enough for everybody just because I thought some people probably wouldn't break them home and I didn't want to put them in the recycle bin. But we've got 10 of them. If you need more, I can get them more. And it gives the different events. We have 3 different events going on that we're involved with at the Portland Commission on Disability. The first one is we're having a reception because there's a disability history exhibit going to be at City Hall for 2 weeks. A lot of people don't know disability history, which we kind of learned here a couple of months ago with the ADA little quiz and everything. And so this is an opportunity because it's really rare to see disability history presented out there. So I hope that you guys are gonna either come to the reception or just drop by City Hall and walk through and see. It goes all the way from ancient times until now, so it's not just about what's happened since the ADA has started, because disability has been around since infanticide in ancient times until now. And then we'll have the reception on the 29th with like the mayor and all the important people, and there's apparently a very old story from the Indian tradition that I'm going to see if we can get brought in for that. Then we're working with PSU to do something up in the park blocks on, I don't know, sometime in July. You can read this and it will tell you, July 23rd. It's hard for me to read. And then Sunday, July 26th is the big celebration. We're doing it at ERCO, which I'm really excited for, because I live out in East Portland, and I think that folks in East Portland don't come to downtown that often. So we're trying to get a whole new crowd coming in and participating, and it's all based on storytelling, so it's going to be very personal and to touch your heart rather than to jab at you about this is what it is and this is what our rights are, which I think, the human rights are very important involved in the ADA, but it's going to be really a heartfelt experience and event.
What time is the 26th of it? Or is it on here?
It's on
Okay.
here. It's in the afternoon. I think it's like 1 to 5 or something like that. And lunch will be provided. And there will be, because ERCO is a little bit hard to get to from public transit, we will actually have shuttles running from the Gateway Transit Center to ERCO.
Thank you, Alana. Are you excited to research? Yeah.
And GA will be done. Thank goodness.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I know, as you're well aware, our esteemed city councilors meet every morning before you did. And today was relatively light agenda. They've concocted a new blue ribbon panel derived utilities advisory board to buffer them against rate raises for the water department and sewage, stuff like that. They didn't talk about a place you may have heard about, Alberta Street, where 10,000 people were last Thursday, where shots were fired and hit 3 people. Although the mayor did show up that night, they wasn't really talking about the situation there. Some of you may not know that on Thursday night, when this juvenile shooter injured 3 people, one of the victims was being given first aid by some people connected with Don't Shoot. So Glenn Waco and Marcus Cooper were arrested while they were advocating for their rights and the rights of this injured victim. Marcus spent the night in jail. There were about 70 people in the courtroom Friday morning, or Friday afternoon, when he did get released on recognizance. But they're informed, Glenn and Marcus are informed activists. I think an aspect of this, 2 things to look into as far as the Human Rights Commission is concerned here is is the city's policy towards the Alberta neighborhood, which is kind of hard to pin down the Alberta neighborhood now because you have traditional residents and then you have gentrified influx there. But is the city really being disrespectful of the human decency and integrity of the people in the Alberta area, especially the historic residents of that area, by leaving things kind of up in the air with the official, unofficial status of last Thursday's? And of course, I think more importantly, from multiple aspects of the equity lens, what went wrong that Thursday. We have a person of color who's also an almost adult child. What's going on in Portland that a 16-year-old whose father, according to the news reports, is from Cross River in Washington, why is he feeling he needs a gun? Why is he feeling he needs to pull the trigger at somebody that's eyeing him? Why aren't we having a louder discussion about that kind of dysfunction and the root causes of that here in the city of Portland? I think that that's an important conversation, and there's a possible explanation which may have been put forth by the mayor's office that almost explains everything. Gangs! I don't think anybody here believes that that's simple. I've never really heard the use, even though we had a biker attack in Texas, I've never felt that the connotation of the word gangs in Portland ever included white people. A city full of 80, 90% white people, and we think none of them are in gangs, and the gangs are an explanation. So I hope that with all the other work you're doing, and maybe while you were at your retreat, that idea of applying a human rights and equity lens to youth, youth of color, and I think it also broadens more to us. I think when we talk about the rare times people talk about the wealth and inequality gap, in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which I'm far from memorized, I believe it talks about work and work with dignity. And as election season comes up, we hear coached numbers like, oh, unemployment is down to 5 point whatever percent. How many people feel they have good careers, job security? I think that that is another aspect for, and I think it's maybe, I don't know, I haven't looked at all your resumes or CVs to know where we are educationally, and if we're distanced from the average community of Portland in that way. But I think that that is something that comes up. The AFL-CIO and some groups have been kind of thinking about that in regards to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. In fact, the president could come to visit our billionaire Nike executives, but not really give us any real facts about how ordinary people from ordinary families can feel that they can get careers with insurance and stability to afford rent and stuff like that. So I think that an issue that's going to be before this commission, along with entrenched racism and discrimination against the poor and houseless, is a general question of economic justice and who has access to economic security and mobility. Thanks, y'all.
Any other? Yeah.
Hello, everybody. One thing I noticed, there's some cards on the table, so if you don't have any cards on you, there's a whole box of them down there. And thanks for bringing them in, because it's been coming up for many years. And on the back here, I was reading about eliminating discrimination, bigotry, strengthen intergroup relationships, and foster greater understanding and inclusion and justice. I want to talk just a small bit about getting the agenda on the website, so there is some inclusion with the community. It wasn't up there again this month. And just the website in general is my point of speaking right now, is that when I look for human rights, Portland Human Rights Commission, I pretty much just get the website to your main equity division. Then I click on the human rights part, and it's really outdated. I think Jeff has commandeered the one little button where you click for agenda. He puts the CPRC stuff there that used to be for your group. And now the front page of the human rights thing has got Jeff's little CPRC, which is an important thing, but that used to be your little click to get your agenda. And there's not much about anything you're really doing up there. I mean, you are doing stuff, and I'm recording it, and there's no links to anything in anywhere of your website, to any of my videos of your meetings, which if you don't want to share your meetings, that's fine, but I think you're doing good stuff that more people could see than just my friends. And so like none of your Facebook pages or Twitter or any of those reference your meetings. It's a big disassociation, so I don't feel inclusion. And working with strengthening and understanding and working together, I feel somewhat a gap of not really, of the community trying to see what you guys are doing. And you can't see the minutes, you can't see the various things that you've done. So I just want to encourage you to maybe use some of your budget to help do some of the website stuff. Maybe you could hire an intern or somebody that would update your Twitter pages and put stuff that you're involved in. You also have a calendar up there that's blank. And the calendar is color-coded for different events and things that are going on. So if another group with Race Talks was doing something, whoever controls the calendar or could access it, you could put Race Talks, you could put different, the ADA things that you all talk about. So that the community, when we're trying to figure out what you guys are doing or how we can engage, I think there's been some work done by Amy about if a citizen wanted to say something or there's some paperwork he would fill out. I think she started that process, but how do you find that if you're a citizen? You know, so just encouragement to maybe give your website an upgrade. And it's all really more about the equity department and all the things that equity and your bigger mothership is doing than what your group is doing. And I think you're all getting slighted and short-sheeted. So, and I'm doing what I can. I do this all as a volunteer and just trying to bridge the gap and show everybody who can't make it to this meeting what you guys are doing. And you can't find any of that, any reference to any of your meetings through your website. And that, when I looked up the word bigotry, it just seemed like, I don't know if that fits in there, but it seems like my voice or what I'm showing, it's like, I don't know, there's no, why isn't it being shared, by the group? Why doesn't it being acknowledged that your meetings are all documented? The very first meeting you've ever had. And you can see some of the same conversations you're having today in your meetings that people have gone through before. It's a real learning experience. It's for the history of what you've gone through. I told those people that left, look back at some of the old meetings. If you want to know how this group has struggled through the years and got to where they are, it's all right there. And so I just want a little more interaction.
Also, I'd like to just note that you have been at meetings longer than I have. You've been on this commission. So the advice is well worth it.
Same thing for me, you've definitely been here longer than I have, because
Yeah.
I've been here less than, but I just want to publicly let you know that we do appreciate you being here, and I think we've noted before what it means to have this here, and I think we'll continue to look at ways to ensure that it's connected to folks who need and want.
Yeah, I see like on the Facebook page, I don't use Facebook anymore. They wanted my real name, Mike, and I was going by Joe, and so I just have gone away from. But even when you look back at Facebook, you guys talk about things that what you guys have done in the community or things that are happening, and there'll be an Oregonian or the scan or something, but there's really all this stuff, and there's nothing like. I even do small little outtakes of the director talking or something. I mean, somebody could put a little, here's the director talking about what's important. And it just sort of.
I think I definitely appreciate what you're saying, and I think that
Think about it.
there's agreement here that we want that to happen, and my personal, I kind of feel like that is, based on what we were talking about earlier, that's sort of one of the challenges of us being, not staff within the office that does that work. It's, we have to find ways to
More
help that
outreach
happen.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, reaching the public. And through the web is a common way people are all doing it, and social media. And maybe with the budget, you can hire somebody to help out on that. I don't know if that's possible.
Our budget isn't that big,
Well, it used to be.
But,
Yeah, and it slowly slips away and you don't use all the money, so there would be an idea. My idea is get somebody to help with her, with getting your information disseminated.
I think Damon has
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
does anybody really think your name is Joe, by the way?
Oh, they call me Joe all the time, so.
I really appreciate everything you said. There's one thing you brought up that, you know, when we had the transition period from the old Office of Human Relations to the Office of Equity and Human Rights, and there was a transition period on staffing, I personally was advocating for when there was a switchover from the website and the creation of the website of OHR. And I was strongly advocating that all our notes be put on there. And for that exact reason that you said it, and I was specifically told that by a person in particular that we're not gonna go further than a year or 2 years or so. No one's interested in that. And so, I mean, I really think Kenya can weigh in on that potentially, or in terms of advocate for that office, if that's important, because I thought there's a lot of historical information there that was lost or is on whatever the previous incarnation is. It's still there, and that other one, that old one, if it even exists. The city's paying for it, but I mean, you know, I would take what Mike said and take that back to the office. Because that was, we were specifically told no on that, please.
Well, having things just get lost through over time, and you look back at some of the stuff that people have struggled for and fought for, and if it just gets lost and documentation's gone, you know, then, I don't know. I'd like to preserve it more, that's why I'm doing what I do, trying to archive things.
Mark, appreciate your effort.
Thank you.